side of us. You could kind of see the thing moving through the woods.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature, and I knew in my heart, I knew in my mind, and the whole night, this isn't a man.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us, and then leaps over a guardrail.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing.
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, exploring the Bigfoot mystery each week with your hosts, veteran researcher, author, and TV personality, the Squatch detective, Steve Kulls, and from the Bigfoot Research Project of Kentucky, Chris Bennett. Sit back and buckle up as we bring you guests from around North America discussing the Bigfoot phenomena, but not without a few laughs too. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, November 14th, 2021. I'm your host, your guy, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls. And I'm going fast because we get a lot of folks on the show tonight. So here's Mr. Bennett down there. Hello, Mr. Bennett.
I'm here. Hey, Steve, Bennett. Love the hat, man.
Mr.
Looks
Bennett.
good.
So, and well, we're gonna hop right into this. Let's do our roll call real quick.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to we got a lot of bases to cover today. So here we are. So of course, first in the chat tonight was our good friend B. Lynn. B. Hello, John Swan in the house. Bob Wemley, Raptor Crazy, the tall ones, Central Florida Bigfoot. Hey, Matt. Lester Taylor.
Welcome,
something Matt. To Sasquatch about.
Lester.
Rod Dupree, Rod is in the house. Jay Fritz, hello, Jay, welcome back. Mary Wilson, hello, Mary,
hi,
welcome
Mary.
back. Gary Johnson, hello, Gary. I think we got Lester already, and Uncle Bones, number 2. Uncle Bones, welcome. Lockbeard's in the house.
Funny.
Hello, Lockbeard, good to see you. So that's cool. the roll call of people who've chatted already, and It's good to have everybody here tonight. I think we have a show tonight. Originally was going to be our good friend Bigfoot Okanagan, Leon Thompson down there. Hello, Leon. As he's screwing in his earplugs.
Sorry, forgot to turn off my mic, or on my mic. So, hello, gentlemen.
Hello. So anyway, we have quite a show. He's got quite the topic to talk about tonight. And I think a lot of the stuff we have going on in the Bigfoot world, and that's why Pat's here. I think it's pertinent to the conversation we're going to have with Leon tonight. So I think it's a nice little segue into what, Leon wants to talk about tonight. And it's about, basically Bigfoot behavior and psychology all rolled up into one, I believe. And as we go now, Pat, and everybody here is kind of, Pat and Leon were involved a little bit with Porcupine Gate, in case people wonder what Porcupine Gate is, as I like to call it. And actually, I want to change that name. it's not Porcupine Gate, it's Pork You Hate, because everybody's hating on the porcupine. There's a certain crew that's hating on the porcupine. We love the porcupine. But anyway, in case people are wondering, we're going to show that video real quick again, just so to refresh people's mind of what we're talking about, the Porcupine Gate. So this is what Porcupine Gate is all about. Yes, this video is brought to you by that guy from Vermont, who liked to think a few years back that Rick Dyer actually shot a Bigfoot. Also happens to be pals with Mr. I'm going to shoot Bigfoot from behind, Mr. Scott Carpenter, and a very staunch Melba Ketchum believer and woo baiter, Mr. Chris Noel. And in this video, he says a Sasquatch is climbing up a tree. Well, obviously, as we look at it, does it kind of look like he's close to the tree? Maybe. But what it is, it's really a porcupine. And I don't know how we can miss this or misident this. This is the kind of guy that walks in the woods and thinks everything is a Sasquatch. He should go out squatching with Todd Standing. They can make tremendous work. And by the way, this guy is so arrogant, he likes to think he's one of the premier investigators in the Northeast. Well, if this is his critical thinking and strong rationalizations, well, I guess his college degrees really didn't work too well, did they? Well, anyway, this is the same cat who also asked me to lie about an evaluation I did, or by putting out some information that had already been out there on the web, and he blames me. So what does he do? He asked me to lie. Yep. What a character. Anyway, that's this week's Bogus Bigfoot Roundup. And that, of course, is the quick video I did on the whole Porcupine Gate thing. I'm no stranger to Chris Noel, and I'm gonna put this right out there. He was a very big supporter in 2012 and 2013 of Dyer pulling the second hoax. Came out with a book, as you saw. What does Rick Dyer's Bigfoot body mean to Sasquatch research? Actually came out with a book about it. So I make mention of, now mind you, these people were outed on a website called the Bigfoot Evidence Blog many, many years ago when it was at its peak of popularity. And that moneymaker had come on there at one time and put out the names of Facebook Find Bigfoot, the two gentlemen that were behind Facebook Find Bigfoot, which was authenticating, as they say, we are authenticating all these videos, including ones that I actually had an admission to. I remember them authenticating the Interstate Bigfoot video, and that got turned the Interstate Bigfoot video hoax because I actually spoke to the people that filmed it and got them to admit it was a hoax. But here these guys are authenticating it. Needless to say, apparently Noel was friends with these two guys and got ticked off that I mentioned their names. So what does Chris do? You need to tell people that you were wrong and retract what you said. And I was like, you want me to lie? Yes, I want you to, for your immoral deed. And it would be really a shame that you and I wouldn't be able to work together. After all, we're very important researchers here in the Northeast. Like, well, I never, ever said I'm important to anything. Except maybe, being a father.
You're important to me, Steve.
Thank you, Chris.
You're important to me too, Steve.
Thank you, guys.
And me as well.
But, to come out and say that, it just reeked of arrogance. It reeked of, I don't know what to say. But anyway, so I was done with the guy. I go, you're going to ask me, you're asking me to lie? I mean, you see the text right there. So at that point in time, I knew what kind of guy he was. And so when this video or the porcupine comes out, it is no surprise to me how he reacts to it. And I know, and Pat disappears when I was about to bring him up. But
there he is.
But Pat very gentlemanly asks Mr. Noel to come on his show. Says he'll put back any reservations or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And, I've been doing this a long time, Pat. And I was like, he ain't going to come on. And of course, he doesn't. And he wasn't too nice about it either, was he, Pat?
He didn't respectfully decline, but he didn't do anything
Obnoxious.
obnoxious or
Good.
he saw my face when the link got sent to him. He didn't know Squatch Talk was me, but as soon as he saw my face, I think he just immediately backed out of the video. Never heard anything I had to say about the fairness and all that, and moderator and all that stuff, and just said, no, I don't want to be interviewed by Pat Turner. So it was personal.
But he also said, not only do I want to not be interviewed by Pat Turner, but he also said, I don't want to be on a show that's going to entertain this porcupine idea.
Concept.
Concept.
What he said. And I thought that was a very interesting word to use. But yeah, you're right. So he wasn't going to do it anyway. Everybody was telling me that, but I had to try.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, absolutely.
For two reasons. The 10% chance that he does, accept, and the optics that are real. They're all real. Like the invitation still stands. I will have that discussion, or I will host that discussion. So the optics are real, but it shows the other channels, the entertainment channels, the supporting narrative channels that, hey, I'm willing to do this. I'm the only one, and nobody's knocking on Chris's door right now to even be on their show even on the entertainment side, because they all know it's a freaking porcupine too. They don't want to support that narrative, but I was trying to be fair about it and have an open discussion. And
sure.
He didn't accept. He's not going to accept. We all know that. So here we are. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You see now, Leon, I'm going to get you into this conversation real quick. My take on it was back in 2013 when we had this chat conversation with Mr. Noel, and it's no surprise to me here that he apparently has showed to me he doesn't care about the truth. He just cares about the narrative. And because he knowingly asked me to lie, and I even asked him back, you want me to lie? And he replied, yes, because the narrative is more important to him than the truth. And that is a big problem when it comes to this sometimes, is it not?
The first question is, what is happening in a person's brain to make them do the behavior? That's the first thing. Really, there's something. What type of personality, what type of person would have that style of way of negotiating life? That is amazing to me. The second thing is, that I was thinking as you're talking, I don't want to get ahead of myself because I've done a lot of thought about this over the last 4 days, and I've had an incredible 4 days, taxing 4 days, not about this issue. But it's like, if you looked at it like we're playing cards, you get your first card on the table. You get your cards, they get their cards. They get to play their cards. But at one point in the game, you get to call them. And that's fair because they get to do the same thing back. The term I use is a little more harsher, release the hounds on me if I ever say to you, this is a Sasquatch. So the idea that in certain segments of society that people believe that when you are trying to actually assist them in knowing things, they go to embarrassment because they feel that in some way, I'm not saying this about Christopher, segment of society. I'm not here to give you the answers. I'm here to point you to the directions. And again, I don't want to get so far ahead of me here, but what Pat did was call his card. That's the action he did. He called his card. And I mean, if you get me going here, Steve, I'm not going to shut up, I'll tell you, but it'll be very systematic and people will be going, holy shit. by the time I'm done. But I'll try to fragment a little bit if you want. So go ahead if you want to read that.
I like where you were going. Like,
Yeah. Okay. So the number one thing is if I'm processing, sorry, my brain works very differently.
You're good. You're good, Leon.
When you have a community, that community develops into a cultural way of thinking. The way of thinking they've now adapted is now a belief of fact because everyone's talking about it and everyone in the system talks about it. But the problem is in any system, as time moves forward, it might have did some kind of value to the system, but somebody in the system starts feeling anemic, meaning they're not getting any nutrition out of the information. And this is in any system. So a system is going to start heading towards conflict. And the thing about conflict is about civil discord. Civil discord it's civil at first until something doesn't fit right with the concept, philosophy, idea, thought. And then the other positioning has discourse with it. It's normal. And why is that normal? Is so we can find out what's going on. Mm-hmm. I came specifically online to look for a Sasquatch, to find the right allies, but also to document or do research on what happens to someone who comes online and study the Bigfoot community online as a system. Why? Because I like systems. I study systems. I use systems in regards to helping people. My motivation for being online is to find out what the glitch is in the system, assist the system to see what the glitch is, put the correct data into the system, which is not this is a Sasquatch, that's a Sasquatch, Sasquatch do this, Sasquatch do that. That is not what's helpful in the system. What's helpful in the system is the middle part of the data. How do you know it's a Sasquatch? Could you please tell us viewers at home who are vulnerable because we trust you and we like your channel and and what you're connected to and to what we're hearing means that you have a big weight to carry as a channel person to make sure that what you're providing is a sincere reflection of what your channel is about. And what that is that are you an entertainment channel? I don't have a problem with any entertainment channels online. I don't have any problems with any channels that are collecting stories, having people on getting interviewed. I don't have a problem with any of that kind of stuff. But as soon as you move to that you're an active researcher and say you did have one of those style of channels, as soon as you move to saying that you are positioning yourself to the viewer at home, that this is true, and I'm presenting myself to the viewer at home that they're going to buy into, that this in some way is showing you that I know what the hell I'm talking about because I'm presenting myself as a researcher, whatever term you want to put on it there. As soon as a person does that, you now move from a non-educational channel into a science channel, educational meaning from a different angle from my side of my head, sorry. But you move to a science channel, which means that we can ask you questions. And the best thing I could ask for anybody, and I'm going to push this video for the next little while, is when Sean from Something to Watch About interviewed me on there. And when he interviewed on me there was way before this whole Noel thing on there. But I played a layout to the viewers at home. If you watch that video again or that interview again, what we're watching is unfolding right before our eyes, but we can't recognize it yet because we don't have the correct data or the objective viewpoint to see it yet, is everything I'm talking about that was going to be happening or that happens to systems when a person starts raising their finger and asking the right question. And the problem when a system starts going into civil, what's the word I'm looking for?
Discourse.
Discourse.
Civil discourse that middle ground right there gets very hot.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it gets very hot is because people have taken a narration that's been now into a custom that now is into a belief system in their body, being primed by what we have watched on the chat online. I got sucked into this as well. And as time moves forward with that, there's got to be a time, because think of any system, you guys, church system, politics, anything. It had its foundation. It worked for a while, but then this change happened. When the change happened, there was conflict. That's just all normal kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So now the next part is when a crest starts coming. In other words, the ideas are back here. I wish I could show you pictures of this. But if this is water right here and you're on the ocean, over here is the land. And then what ends up happening back here, because it gets so saturated and it's just not growing anything, this crest starts forming. Those are the people raising their hand to ask questions. And then certain people on this side start moving up. So the wave's now coming towards the shore, where the main idea of the culture's there. And one person will come over and then, but the whole army of the culture's there waiting for them. And he's going to get slaughtered. And then another person comes over, and maybe 8 more come over, and but they're all going to get slaughtered. Now, everybody else on this side of the wave that wants to move up to find out what we're actually here to do, which is to find a Sasquatch, to film a Sasquatch, to show everybody there's this thing called a Sasquatch out here. That's why we're here. Now, the tone I'm saying it isn't that of an entertainment channel. It's as somebody who would like to investigate Sasquatch. So it means it's a little more serious to me, even though I smile all the time. But the bottom line, I smile is because when you deal with some of the madness that I deal with, it's pretty crazy. And if I don't smile, I'm going to be part of the crazy crew. And so when I'm looking at this whole thing, like when I just lucked into, for some strange reason, bumping into that video interview that I did do with Sean. And I thought that's exactly what's happening now. This whole idea of, if we don't have this clash and it's coming, and the other people who are the whatever they are, the Christophers or whatever, that don't want to look at what they're actually looking at it and fess up, then there's going to be a big problem. And the big problem has nothing to do with me. It's now a systems or organic. Once that organic starts shifting, that system is going to eventually shift over to the other side. And once that wake happens, where it falls over to the other side, as more people come on board with what we're talking about, which is, we can see what we're seeing. You know, right. Do you want to know what you're looking at, or don't you want to know what you're looking at? Personally, I want to know what I'm looking at. If I'm wrong, I will freely confess it. If I'm right, or if I'm if I'm wrong and I don't want to claim it and keep acting like I'm right, that's not fair to the viewers. We trust you. You shouldn't be doing that to the viewers. And there's and the problem is it's been out here like that for 10 years, right? No one challenges anybody. So it goes underground. And then on top of that, the problem is people who are seeing and are agreeing, like you're saying, Pat, they all know there's a porcupine. But if you ask them to if you ask them to say it publicly, you're going to get a certain segment of the people who honestly get what you're saying, but they're not ready to commit because there's going to be a consequence.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
If you come out here and you do that, and you just watched all those other ones going over first, like Brent says, here I am with the sword, I'm coming over. Yeah, great. Bang, boom, he's gone. You know, a group of us go over, bang, 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 bang. We're all gone.
Right.
There's not much incentive to move forward. So you're stuck with a bit of a dilemma. And part of the dilemma is, what would you do if you walked into a system that you were trying to assist, and you could see the pattern of where blind spots are. We all have blind spots. I have blind spots. And if you could see the pattern to assist the system, because when I have a blind spot, I need the system, other people to assist me that I'm not seeing it correctly. And because I think backwards and I'm on the spectrum, my brain can't see it the way you see it, because it just can't. Right. Until I come at it from a certain angle, then I can totally see why you would say that. Right. So, and I just got to put this plug in here because of the post you put at the very beginning of this video there of the last email or message I got from Christopher, where he goes after me personally, talking about my grammar and spelling, and I should use this and I should do that. Well, he doesn't have any idea, for someone who believes in the autism Sasquatch or autumn.
Yeah.
He can't see somebody on the spectrum. He can't even recognize somebody on the spectrum. So how could he recognize the Sasquatch with that whole kooky theory?
Well, I think I'm watching the chat, and there's a lot of people that say, hey, we really think that Christopher believes in what he's seeing, and I don't necessarily doubt that. But there are those people that can have this mindset of judging things fairly and on a case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are the people, and Jeff makes a good point too. And I'll put that, Jeff Harding made a great point. You have the people, and this is something that I've come to note over these many years of doing this, is you have the people that truly believe in everything they see. And to me, has Christopher had a legitimate experience? I know many, many years ago, he had some experiences in Texas. I don't know how true they were. I did not, like I said, I don't investigate them. I can only take them on face value. If he says he saw something, who am I to say he did not? Right? I'll have to take him at face value for that. Just like, Chris says he saw a Bigfoot, I have to believe him. If Pat sees one, I have to take his word for it. If, however, he puts up this evidence, which is clearly not a Bigfoot, but he refuses to see it, or look at these trees, look at this, look at all these tree breaks, or this stick structure. Oh, that's a Bigfoot. Well, there is some things that we can be objective about and have some objectivity to it, right? That we can all see and we can all share in. So the point is that Harding is a lot of people, when you sit there and try to say to them, I do not believe. Now, mind you, there are people out there that get downright nasty about it and trolling people in different groups. I understand that. But if somebody says, hey, listen, look at it, that's a porcupine. But all he hears is you're a liar and a fake. And what I'm trying to point out is not that he's a liar necessarily or fake. What I'm trying to point out is he's very gullible. He is going into the forest with a strong confirmation bias, which really I think is the number one killer of the community, is this confirmation bias.
Mm-hmm.
They
get it through the narrative that they hear online.
Right.
Yeah, it's all narrative, online narrative. Yeah.
So when Christopher goes and says to me, I think, what was the word he used in his video describing me? I think he said vicious. I could be wrong, but at least that's
he said bully. He called you a bully.
Bullying.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming
Leon a bully.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a bully at all.
No kidding. Yeah.
When he said,
hey, guess Tom Steenberg in the house. Thomas is in the house.
Thomas, man.
And he makes a great point. If evidence points to another explanation than other than Sasquatch, Chris should go with it with as much commitment as if he thought it to be a Sasquatch. True. There's nothing to say. Hey, you know what? After evaluation of this video, looking at it, yeah, it very well could be a porcupine. Boom. He would be lifted.
Can we just be honest here and call a spade a spade? I mean,
go right ahead.
At this point, I put my gear shift back into calling balls and strikes like I see them.
Go right ahead, Pat.
And it's delusional. I don't think he's a hoaxer. I know Brent is leaning, like Brent's leaning in the direction of, I think he knows, but he's just he's playing a charade with it. I think it's just pure delusion. Is my opinion.
You know what, Pat? I think what we have here is an honest misidentification, giving him the benefit of the doubt. I think we have an honest misidentification, but he refuses he slipped into a fallacy. It's called the fallacy of the sunk cost. He's put so much into this, so much effort, that he cannot be wrong no matter what. You know.
Well, isn't that delusion though? Isn't that
no.
delusional?
Well, he didn't make up seeing the Sasquatch or seeing the thing in the tree.
Right.
It was an actual animal in the tree.
Yeah, I know.
So-
But that
so-
doesn't
Doesn't make him delusional.
delusional doesn't mean hallucination.
Well, delusional is a little strong word.
Yeah.
I would use the confirmation bias in him is, on a 10 scale.
Along with his cognitive dissonance.
Well, that
Because
too.
I'm doing 7 videos to try to convince you that this is a Sasquatch. And it's actually not going to, it's not just going to shape shift in the video, it's going to shape shift in my narration as it's 4 feet to 6 feet.
Yep.
You got to be willing to examine your own evidence critically.
Because someone's going to, because we trust you.
Yeah.
We
Right.
follow
Yeah.
you as researchers.
If I get
you don't want-
evidence,
wait,
dude,
Pat,
I'm
Pat,
showing
let-
it to you guys.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Look at I and all of us are under the same. If we're here looking for Sasquatches, again, I am not talking to the channels at all that are entertaining channels or people who do interviews. To me, it doesn't matter. I'm on here to see if we can find how, as a group of a community, because we have more eyes and more resources to locate this thing over 50 years, and we haven't moved one iota since the beginning.
Right.
You mentioned it was great to see Thomas show up here, because in my notes I have 3 quotes from Thomas. If they attack your personality, they've already missed the argument, and that's what
Correct.
he did when he sent back that whole idea. Now, and again, I can hear how people's brain thought processes were. They say, "Well, Leon, you were really harsh on him and stuff." I wasn't harsh. I was frustrated. You have a channel, 13,000 people have viewed this video, and you're narrating to them and trying to convince them over 7 more videos that what they're seeing isn't what they're seeing. It's a porcupine. I'm allowed to be frustrated when I invest in people. You are allowed to be frustrated with me when you invest with people. That's part of the clashing, to find out if there's any kind of validity to what this person's doing. But if you're subjectively reacting all the time online, which happens, unfortunately, the viewers, I was a viewer, you guys, when I came on here. I started with 2 Facebook pages. One's a secret page. So it's so secret I can't tell you what it is, but Christopher Noel's in there. And I also went on this other page called Project ONC, which I thought was a great concept. Show people how to go out and look for these things. And I think that's great. I met Christopher that way. Brent met Christopher that way. We've been watching Christopher for 5 or 6 years. I can understand people making a mistake, but the tone of your voice when you're narrating, it sounds rather convincing, which means it's also can prime my brain. I'm not here to have my brain primed unless it's solid data.
He does have a good tone.
That's right.
Like,
and because you word it,
yeah.
wait a sec, Pat, I'm not done here.
Okay.
And if you're going to structure your sentence and act to the viewer at home that you are a researcher, then you better be able to bear under that decision you have chosen to do, like I have got to do this. I don't deal with Mickey Mouse stuff. I know I'm smiling and upbeat. I'm smiling and upbeat because I see the contrast of the opposite. And when things are not thinking correctly, they can go very, very wrong. But what I'm encouraged about, because I've been talking about this for about 3 years or working on it behind the scenes, is to get a wave started. And it's not about me, because I'll be dead probably by the time you guys get this all figured out where I'd like to show you to go, which is this thing about, do you want to know? Honestly, everyone right now watching, do you want to know if it's a Sasquatch or don't you? The evidence these people are showing you. So if they're not telling us the stuff that's in between, this is a Sasquatch. And how I know it's a Sasquatch is because they come in here and they do this, this, and this. Can you see how that's like that, that, and that? See, that's somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
That's called the scientific method of narration. The scientifical method of narration is not that detailed. I have an idea here, and what I put on top is my thoughts of what I think it is. And I put it down on the topic. And the problem when you do that, the first block in your brain that you decided to believe in is wrong. Because you start at the topic and move up from it. You don't put your ideas down. You can have all those ideas. You can do all this, everything that Christopher done, he could totally do it. But don't act like it's true after 7 videos and still trying to make us think we can't see what we're seeing. We all see what we're seeing. The other weird thing is, why come after me? I said three statements to you. I hope you saved them. And I hope you put them on top. Here's another side of it. I'll admit every one of those things to be true. I don't. But let's just say for the argument's sake, I'm a bully. I'm all this. I'm all that. Okay? Let's all just say he's right. I'm totally wrong. I was just meanie. I was just a little meanie. The bottom line is that's called redirection. Does the film look any more like a Sasquatch? It doesn't. Yeah,
true.
And so when Thomas says, as soon as you go after the person's character, their personality, the way they are, you're not arguing about what it is. It's about the evidence. So you've already lost it. I'm not looking for Christopher's idea of being able to say my grammar's bad, my spelling's bad, and all that kind of stuff. You're telling a 58-year-old guy who has that's wired backwards that he has a grammatically sentence structure and spelling mistakes and stuff. Yeah, I've been dealing with that ever since I was a kid.
What does that have to do with that being a porcupine or not?
Right.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And that's the point. And that's what I mean is I have always been in line to move it forward. I had to be, because I had to also be as honest as I could about making sure I was involved with it. And when I was involved with it, when I first came on, it was fun. It was great. I was like most viewers, probably 87% viewers right now. They enjoy the topic. They enjoy listening to the banter back and forth and the stuff people talk about. Not on all the channels, but there was an appeal there. I get that. But you keep watching and watching and watching, and it makes you want to move into it more because you have maybe some kind of tools. I have tools that other people don't. Others have tools that I don't. So I need to learn from them. But you get together with those people and you say, hey, maybe if we get together, we can go find one of these things, one of these guys.
Agreed. And
then you get into this stuff, and then the old thinking way, the old cultural community ways you start bumping into. Right. You don't know it yet. So you haven't been drinking the Kool-Aid for 10 years, the ideologies. And getting the feedback leap and your endorphins firing off because you're building a community, you have new friends online, you get to chat, people are all over North America. This is a great thing for us, you guys. It's only been online for 20 years. You know, where are you guys all located? I'm on the other side of up in Canada. You guys are far east as far as you can be, you know, and I'm far west as you could be. I could be from you. So there's a lot of feedback stuff that comes in here. But the point is, and the reason why I'm really hammering it tonight is, I am not staying on this Bigfoot YouTube scene the way we have been used to. Something else has to be shown so that people can move towards. And that's what I really appreciate. What, Steve, you're doing, Pat, what you did, Joe, what you're doing, what Matt's doing, Cornell's doing. You know, all these. The idea too is the guy who was commenting about, well, they've got this many amount of subscribers or viewers.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. What we want to do is the new people coming in that are keeners. We want to kind of come alongside of Red as they're coming in. We're not looking for the ones with the big subscribe rate, because it's easier to change one person to change 1,000 people's narration than it is to change 40,000 narrations that have already drank the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
Those, when I say drink the Kool-Aid, I know it can be offensive when people are hearing me that. If you are a viewer online, I am not talking to you. I'm challenging the upgrade of the system. No system likes the first person or one of the first persons that's still breathing, I guess, for those who came before them or been shot. But I'm challenging the system, the channel, not the entertainment Bigfoot channels, not the interviewing Bigfoot channel people. I'm not challenging any of those. I'm challenging anybody out there that has in their mind that they believe they're a researcher on this topic. Because if we don't change it, and we're not going to change it until this clash comes, because it has to fold over, we're missing something. And what we're missing is that center part. Too much narration that it is, And this is, look at this, and we're all admired over it. It's Parkinson's law of triviality. Oh, these structures, look how beautiful they are. Yes, that's great. But that's the idea of Sasquatch. The topic is Sasquatch. Why don't you do the same
Exactly.
thing, the same thing, but find it as a Sasquatch stuff, or make sure you don't know or know what you're talking about. If you don't know, find people, the best of the best in your area that know what you don't know. Ask them to take a look at it.
Now, Leon, let me jump in here a second, because somebody suggested that Chris Noel actually may be watching this program or working or about. And I hope he is, because you know what? I may be a little tongue in cheek. I may be a little snarky at times. I may have a little fun with topics. Everybody knows me. That's what I do. But I will say this. I have a big heart. I have a very kind heart. Mm-hmm. And if Chris can just hear us and take what we're saying as advice, you know I've had problems with him in the past. I know that whole lie thing did not stick in my craw very well. But if he says, hey, I was wrong to say that to you, I can forgive that. Because he didn't do me wrong. He just asked me to do wrong. Number two, if he can just be a little more objective about everything he does, and that's all we're asking, just be objective, he can be a damn good researcher.
Listen, I have to throw an idea out there. This is as frustrating as me traveling for 3.5 hours through snow conditions to go check out the best Sasquatch trackways of 2020. Made by Matthew Moneymaker, the president of BFRO, where we got our data from. That's pinned on our boards. And to find out that the Bigfoot is supposed to be Bigfoot field researcher, Matt Moneymaker, who did the field investigation, which he didn't do. He did a phone call, came up with a whole priming narration to it that sounded really well. I mean, remember, the title is Best Sasquatch Trackways of 2020. That's in North America, because he knows the audience is North American. And then you have Christopher Noel's video, How Do You Find a Sasquatch? Or something along that line. So the implication when you clickbaited it was about hearing stuff about finding a Sasquatch. But if you're doing a documentary, so the brain's already primed. So if you're doing a documentary about how to find a Sasquatch, wouldn't it be glorious that you found a Sasquatch? Because that's what everyone wants in a video that says, how do you find a Sasquatch? So the idea that I can be just flippant about this, and that's what ticked me off so much about Matt Moneymaker. I mean, that was just 3.5 hours one direction. We had to drive back at 3 a.m. in the morning, the next direction, and blizzard conditions. So we take what we do very seriously. So people can whine that I'm attacking and all that kind of stuff. It's not, what you're seeing is not anger. You're seeing frustration. Frustration and anger are quickly misinterpreted a lot of times, because if you keep say you love pumpkin pie or blueberry pie, that's your favorite pie. And you go over to somebody's house and they say, hey, would you like a piece of pie? You go, oh, yeah, sure, that'd be great. So they give you a pumpkin pie. I got some pumpkin pie. Would you like some? Sure, I'd like to have some pumpkin pie. So they bring over blueberry pie to you. And then you look at it and say, well, that's not blueberry pie. No, that's pumpkin pie. Oh, all right. Well, no, try it. So you try it and you go, no, this is not pumpkin pie. This is blueberry pie. And they keep insisting to try to convince you that it's a pumpkin pie when you know it's a blueberry pie. If we can't get out of this style of thinking, and this style of thinking is not just in this topic, it's very cultural right now. If we can't transcend that and go on to the other side and use our own specific guidelines to assist us, then we are in delusion. The system is dysfunctional, and you're wasting yourself online. Because that's the bottom line. That's from what I'm seeing. That's the bottom line. Oh my God, Leah just said that we're all dysfunctional. Yeah, we are. I come out of a very dysfunctional family, so I can recognize one pretty quick. So yes, you got me on that one. Like the idea is, see the tone in which I'm speaking. A lot of people are going to think I'm angry or mad. I'm not angry or mad. I'm very direct because this is important. If any community doesn't see the shift that happens the way it has to happen, which is it's got to flip. And what has to flip is the ideology. Everyone who's collected the other ideology, that they're going to have a hard time with it because they've invested so much in it. But at one point, the numbers will grow on the other side, and the information will slowly sift through the culture. It takes about, unfortunately, I think only 3 generations for a society to forget why war is bad. Guess where we're at? Yeah. Oh, I know war is bad, but I don't have the imprint of the people who were at war that were alive going, no, you don't understand. War is really bad. So when this flips over to the other side, the thing on the other side, though, is alive all of a sudden. Everything becomes alive. New ideas come in, the right ideas. They're regulated by the right ideas. They're regulated and they're also reflected on the correct way. It's not good enough, like Neil deGrasse Tyson says in that Truth versus Truth video, it's not good enough to be right. You have to be effective. And you have to be effective if you're trying to help people. Because you know automatically whenever I think of people you've tried to assist in your own personal lives about a point that you can obviously see and everyone else can see it, but they can't see it. They buck you. And that's what all we're seeing here is a buck towards having to shift my way of thinking, because I don't want to shift the way I'm thinking. I don't have any energy, first of all, to shift the way I'm thinking. And this has been such a nice pocket, and I'm sitting in it, and this feedback loop comes in because I get in community, I get a lot of subscribers, which give me a sense of meaning and importance. And these are your basic needs. There's a list of basic needs. If you get those 6 or 5 or 6 basic needs, Matt, it just killed somebody because I forgot the 6th one. You can negotiate life, but if you are not getting your basic needs met, you can die. And how do we know that? Because if you give something that is dying its basic needs, it seems to come back to life. Like my cat seems to be doing after watching him slowly die for 3 days right now. I'm not BSing you.
Some of this stuff can be frustrating too, Leon. I mean, after you had spent all those hours in all those conditions to view the best Sasquatch tracks ever, you found something else, didn't you?
Yeah, and again, but I also
moosey track.
It's a rabbit. It's a rabbit moose. It's a rabbit moose. I haven't seen one of those.
This is fine artwork for me. Okay,
yeah.
You know,
pretty good actually, Chris. That's a fine looking moose you got there. Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to jump in here to say one thing. Well, now actually 2 things really. First of all, I'm so glad that Leon said scientifical, because I told my wife I can make up that word if I want to, and then Steve used it, and now Leon used it. So
scientifical.
I'm glad you said scientifical.
It's an actual word.
Ron says, "Does Leon take a breath?"
No. Like I said,
sometimes he does.
I mentioned to Steve before we came on. Sorry, Joe. Just that I wasn't aware other people were coming on, so I have this kind of layout in my mind. And I do talk a lot. I know you guys.
Hey, when he gets on a roll, let him continue that train of thought.
Because I'm also trying to get your thought process a new reference point to look at things. And again, that's one reason why I suggested to look at Sean's interview with me, because if you watch that interview with me and you now reflect on especially after tonight and what you guys have experienced, you say, this is exactly what he's talking about. Like, not this show, but what's happening in the community. Remember, I study systems. And everything that's happening in the system here is not helping us move forward, but it has to happen. The conflict has to happen. You know, I have an argument with my wife. If there's something I don't want to talk to her about, I don't want to have an argument with my wife. I know this is going to turn into an argument, but you have to make connection. There has to be civil discord, because that's where you get to grow on the other side. Unfortunately, some people won't adjust to the new way. People will prefer the old way. That doesn't matter in regards to where I'd like to go and where other people would like to go. So that's fine. And I wish it wasn't that way. I can't save everybody. I mean, I just lost a guy today at work, and it's not an easy life. Life isn't easy, and people are vulnerable. And that's why I say, if you're viewing this right now and you're a viewer online of some channels, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about concern over us over the last 10 years buying a narrative, because we were all excited at the beginning, but no one did a check-in to find out if we should be doing a shift or a correction in the course of what we were seeing online, because it was too fun. It seems harmless and all that kind of stuff. But then as the serious researcher increased, and part of that is because of the serious technology we have, which ups our own game because we want to get into it more. Then, of course, the attitude about it's going to get serious, which is going to naturally develop a more curious base of wanting to find the facts. Thus, the younger generation starts showing up. That's not good enough evidence. That's not a good enough explanation. That's not a good enough something. So it's okay to go at the front part of the battle if you're 58, so the young ones later on could do the shift down the road maybe. But the shift is coming, but it's coming over right now in kind of little parts of crests. And those people, you need to support them because they're going to get hammered on. But as time moves forward, everyone's going to get what we're talking about. And then they're going to wonder why they were so worried about it.
Yeah.
And that's the weirdest part about anything when you help assist the system is on the other side, they're just shaking their head going, why didn't we see this? Well, because you bought a narration. Not that necessarily people online who have channels are trying to give it to you. Your brain's automatically wired to, unfortunately, get fooled by a lot of different things. So, if I say it longer enough times over and over again, then they'll believe me. Well,
kind of like the porcupine.
Yeah, somebody said that.
Cascade effect is what it's called.
Somebody in history said that Hitler said something similar to that. If you tell a lie long enough, people will eventually believe it. It is true, but no. Well, you know what? The only other thing I wanted to say, and then I'm going to sit back. I'll let you guys chew on it, and I'm just going to listen, and you can give me your thoughts on it. I think the one thing that it hit me all of a sudden, and I don't know if it's a revelation, that seems to be the problem with guys like Mr. Noel and others, not just him, but that's the thing, is that this shouldn't be, and Steve alluded to something very akin to this when he said something one day on a show. The thing is, this shouldn't be about proving anything. This should be about finding the truth by gathering verifiable facts and knowing what the truth is, whatever that truth may be.
Right.
And that's what science does. People often say, well, science doesn't prove anything. Well, science isn't designed to prove anything. Science is designed to gather verifiable facts and put them together to form something that is true. Now, those truths may change sometimes as new facts come in to show that, well, you didn't have all the facts when this was the truth, but here's more facts that need to be added to that to make it more true. And that's the problem with these guys. It's not about finding the truth. It's about pushing a narrative and proving something they want to be.
Correct.
And that's where I will end. And Leon, I want to sit back and enjoy the rest of the show.
Hey, Joe,
if you want it.
Joe, just so you know, I prefer the quote by Winston Churchill, which he said, a lie gets around halfway around the world before the truth has time to get its pants on.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
that is my favorite truth quote right there. Is from Churchill.
Yeah, it's a good one.
You're right. It's narrative pushing. No matter how you look at it, we've seen this time and time again. We talked about that a little bit last week, didn't we, Chris? About how
on your other show,
how the Ketchum study was a narrative being pushed, and it was evidence engineered to push the narrative rather than the narrative being pushed by the evidence. I
like the analogy that Leon applied earlier, talking about it's like we're sitting around playing cards and everybody's got a hand, and sometimes somebody's going to call, and they're going to say, "Let me, what do you got there?" And you've got to be willing to show your cards or maybe even explain them. You can't just say, well, you can't see my cards, And a matter of fact, I won the pot.
Right? Yeah.
It doesn't matter, But wait a minute, you
something
say,
weird's going on.
Your
Something's-
card, it looks like your cards don't
Hey,
match.
look, Leon's on
anything.
twice. Oh my God!
Two of them. Oh my God!
Man, it's bad enough we got one Leon. Now we have two. There he goes.
Oh, but not only can you not see my cards, I win the pot. You'll just have to take my word for it.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. That's not reality.
Right.
That's a good point. Flat Rock makes proof has already been proven. Now we need to get into the woods and get better evidence. And I agree. There's a difference, I think, between proof and evidence. Proof is, hey, is there something out there? Yeah. Now we just need to get the evidence. I don't know. It's kind of playing semantics a bit,
A little bit,
but
it's also personal. That's all personal.
Yeah,
that's to the individual, Steve. Yeah,
I get the point.
Yeah, and so do I. But that's to the individual. Like proof, is to the individual. It's not. That's not a
mistaken identity. Could happen. It could happen to anybody.
Tom had two Leons. Good Lord.
I want to see Leon debate Leon.
I'm having problems, gentlemen. For some reason, your screen that I would watch you on, that we'd be talking, has vanished totally off my page, my whole window, my whole computer.
Well, if you want to refresh, go right ahead. I'll throw you back in.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, because that's what I'm going to have to do.
And get out of here.
Yeah.
Get that guy out of here right now.
Give us a chance to all hydrate.
Yeah, totally.
So, hey, somebody get me Leon on the phone right now.
All right, here I am. I'm back.
Oh, wow. You didn't even leave.
No, well, it was weird. I kept looking for it. I had to close all my other windows, and totally. Put some elevator music on or another video so we can all go do a quick bathroom break.
Yeah, bathroom break.
Oh, you should have seen the videos Richter sent me, man, about this whole thing, like specifically to me.
Well, hey,
Christopher,
we do have another video. It's on a quick one.
Sure.
Let's take a look at this particular video. It's not a very long video because there's only so much you can do with this. Here it is. So there's the channel sneak preview from, hey, where'd Leon go? Oh, there's Pat.
I'm here.
And Joe's here. But,
well, I had a lot of
where is he?
issues.
Huh? Oh my God.
I had a lot of issues with that video.
Nice couch.
It was interesting.
Little did he know while he was gone what we did to him. But he hasn't got his earbuds in, so he can't hear us. And welcome back, Leon.
Hey, everybody. Anyways, so you can tell, like, when he did that video, and then he did that one he did on me, I thought, this is the perfect video. I couldn't have asked for a better video for him to do.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with Bigfoot. I will be doing this scenario every chance I get a chance to when I'm teaching, especially when it comes to mind games. Because there's so much in this whole thing that is like, you're talking about, Chris, sunken cost fallacy, Parkinson's law, triviality. This just shows so many dynamics of why wouldn't you let it go? As Thomas says, which is one of my other quotes, if you have to explain it, it's not good enough evidence. Okay, so what am I talking about? This is really complicated, so make sure everyone's paying attention. What am I talking about? Okay, we have 5 videos playing right now. Is there anyone in any doubt that's Joe, Pat, Leon, Chris, or Steve? Like, no. This is evidence. A porcupine, and then with a narration attached to it. If it can't stand on its own, which it can, unless you make people question it, and with a priming of the narrative to say it's something it's not. Oh, it sure tastes like blueberry pie. No, it's pumpkin pie. No, it's not. It's not pumpkin pie. This is not good enough evidence. It's not a Sasquatch. Like the thing about Christopher, really, why do a video about me? There's people who've done videos about this already and stuff. And there's other researchers out there that he should be more concerned about what they're going to be doing. Because I think some people, and that was the funny thing, is I don't know who came up with like Steve, I was asking you this earlier, the whole idea about Porkygate, or who came up with that term?
What, the Porkygate?
Yeah.
Maybe Brent? Sounds like something Brent would say.
But it totally took hold, and went for a ride.
Or Lockbeard, maybe Lockbeard.
Oh, I'm not too sure. But the thing to me is, look, I am out. I'm gone. I'm staying online and stuff. But I'm going to probably do the whole porcupine thing on truth versus truth kind of thing. And Christopher, you want to come on there? I could have a neutral person, and we can have a civil Discord conversation. And I will probably screw things up and say things backwards and upside down, and sometimes miss out correct data and wish you quoted the right number, but quoted the wrong number, because my brain unfortunately does that. But if you point that out to me, I'll correct myself. But the bottom line is, I'm not letting the hysterical importance of Sasquatch onlinery right now that seems to be out there, where people are so aggressively afraid of being offended. I know I'm sounding this way, but anyone who's sat in the hot seat with me.
Let me just pop in here a quick second. Sure. I don't know what's going on with Nikki, but
she's doing
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
She's saying she coined that.
Oh,
did you?
There you are. There you go.
Good job.
There we are. See, I didn't know.
Good job. Right. See, you started and it was a perfect wording for it. Yeah. Just catches her immediately. You know what it is, just by the 2 words. But
yeah, I can see that. I can see Nikki coining that. Yeah.
So, Porkygate. And it just stuck with me. It just stuck in my head. Porkygate.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It was just the perfect button. We should have little buttons like that. Porkygate. What's that? Oh, you don't want to know. It's too terrifying.
Well, the question I have is, if I made a video that had 10 segments of compilations of porcupines climbing trees, and I included that video in the middle, do you think I would get some people say, wait a minute, that one video in the middle is actually a Sasquatch?
Not at all. Yeah. I would say to the effect of 100%, you would never get that question asked.
Chris, that is a great analogy.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do that and put it in a hunting forum.
Which one is the Sasquatch?
Yeah.
Oh no. That would create a bias right there if I did that, wouldn't it, Leon? If you said which one is the Sasquatch, and then people's going to automatically start looking.
No, don't.
Well, this one looks like a Sasquatch.
No, just put it in there. Say, hey, check out these videos, and I bet you all the comments those are some great porcupine videos.
Right.
It's exactly what they would say.
Thomas said it perfectly when he said in chat, when he said any footage you have to be told what you're looking at as evidence, it's useless.
Yeah, exactly. So why go on and on and on?
Rhyming.
That's the old way of thinking. That's what I mean is when I talk about the shift is a different way of thinking.
Yep.
And the old way of thinking is going to have a problem with the different way of thinking. And the old way of thinking is going to come at the different way of thinking and somehow make it discoloring and distasteful and disdaining. But the problem is just by interacting with this so-called disdaining others positioning, people will be affected by it and they'll realize, actually, this is kind of sweet. I feel like kind of nutrition. I got something out of that. There's something neat about that. That's a neat way of looking at that.
Yeah, you can break through if you just give them a nugget of something sweet, like you said. It can shift their thinking, but it all depends on the individual's filter.
No, it all depends on your patience. Because whenever you're trying to assist people, if you had kids, if you've ever had children,
I don't.
It's about patience.
I don't have children.
Because they will frustrate you. They will believe themselves to be right and you wrong.
I know, but they have children. Children by nature have magical thinking.
And they have magical thinking. All those things are correct.
Yeah.
Children. And adults have that as well.
Yeah, I know.
As much as we're older, we still have
but I
those
still say for adults, I give no excuses. It's all about their filter. It's the filter, garbage in, garbage out.
Well, it's about the information that you are correct. It is about the filter depending on their worldview, because the worldview is going to make that style of what type of filter you're going to have in your head when you collect information.
Yeah.
So that will stop anything that's not familiar to your own personal system. You won't allow in, or you might.
Here's a great example. There isn't one single atheist that that's in Bigfoot research that believes a Bigfoot is a Nephilim.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, right?
You're right. If you could find them, good luck. I mean, they don't exist. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so are we dealing with a part of society that we all got sucked into? Because we all did get sucked into it.
Hello, Bigfoot and more. Welcome.
I don't feel like I ever got sucked into anything. I could.
You did, lad. I watched it happen to you. You just weren't aware of it. And see, this is why we're talking about this.
Well, I mean,
when you get into
I don't know what gets sucked into means. I've always, for almost 20 years, I've wondered why people are seeing these described 8-foot tall monkey men in the woods. And yeah, so maybe I've seen some things that I got sucked into. Oh, is that a Bigfoot they're showing or whatever, like here and there. But I mean, I'm still where I'm at 20 years ago. Why are people seeing these things? I'm still right there where I was. Like, so, and obviously, dude, you guys see me and how I repel bullshit.
Oh, Jeff Harding made a great point in chat, and I'll put that up there.
Yeah.
When a red circle isn't good enough, you have to draw in eyes, face, outlines, etc. with a pen.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the porcupine. He started doing that instead of a red circle saying there it is. It's
or describe it like audibly describe it. You know. So
the No Such Thing podcast. Welcome.
Hey.
Grass is in the house. Ryan and Chewy are in the house too. Flat Rock.
Vaughn's here.
Brian,
what's up, Vaughn?
Lockbeard's in the house. Boy, we got a
golly. Everybody rolled in. Hi, guys and gals.
Seltzer's in the house.
Somebody's show must have stopped.
Patrick Vaughn's in the house.
Somebody's show must have stopped.
Well, that's what it is. You guys are got your shows on roughly overlapping each other, so he switches all around, bounces back and forth. But
well, we go back to back with what is it, the Walking Dead or something, Steve, or something?
Must be a repeat on tonight, or the football game sucked.
No, there's no. No, Walking Dead is in between.
There it is. There's the answer.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They're on a break in between their season finales.
Commercial break.
No. Like a 4-month.
Oh,
break.
okay.
I would know. I would know. I'm the Walking Dead professional here.
Yeah, I used to watch it. I used to watch first 2 or 3 seasons. I was watching it, and then after that, man, I just kind of the story. It became like a soap opera, and it's just more and more.
No, I know it peaked. It peaked season 6.
Yeah.
Season 6 was its peak. Anyway,
Yeah, I haven't seen it since Rick left.
I love these guys.
I could tell you guys stories. Anyway,
Nah. That's right. You're from Georgia, and
yeah,
that's right.
Dude,
You've been on the show.
I did 3 seasons on the
Yes.
show. Yeah, I worked under Nicotero. Yeah,
Nope.
directly. So
Forgot that for some reason because you're so prevalent in the Bigfoot world. I forgot that part of you.
that I'm a huge television star. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Little known fact: Pat Turner is actually a zombie.
And he didn't do a Halloween show.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
I know. How effed up is that?
Oh, that's right. No, he did a
Yeah.
Halloween show. I was too
Yeah,
busy.
I
out
was
in
the
woods
doc.
doing my own.
Yeah, I did a Halloween show. It was Dr. Disrespect.
Yes,
This
you
guy.
were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Halloween show.
Are you guys done?
And you saw me on Nikki's
oh,
show.
hang
right?
on.
Nikki's
Leon's
is
got
good.
his win back.
Oh, I've had my win back for a while.
Go. Sorry, Leon.
No, it's
Continue your
okay.
narrative.
I mean, I came onto the show tonight, you guys, because I'm done. I'm not pretending anymore. I wouldn't do this for what I do for a living. It's not fair to the people I work with. I can't pretend that what is perceived as foolishness to be not making a person into a fool. Yeah. And I don't want to see people made look like they're looking like a fool. Right. I'm not talking about Christopher. All I have to do is I could, like I was telling you guys earlier, I'm getting people sending me videos saying it's a porcupine. That's a porcupine. Yeah. That's a specific style of porcupine. That's a blah blah. And so,
right.
If I ever did a video to debunk it, all you need is the numbers. That's that crest or that wave. Once the wave starts getting the mass it needs to flip the system, it will come. But the problem is the people who are watching what's happening. They're not the ones who are quite ready to go over the top because they know there's going to be a consequence to them, and they're still wrestling in their thinking process about that. I like these other people because we know a lot of these other people on these other shows and stuff like that. But there's nothing more let down when you find out that one of the people that you came into the community in followed, purchased their books, you could say. You have talked to and showed people their videos. You listen to their narrative because you're trusting. And then all of a sudden you realize, look at buddy, if you can't make that out to be exactly what it is, and feel for some strange reason, instead of doing 6 more videos plus mine and the first one, why not just do a second video saying, yeah, I got a lot of interesting feedback from that last one. A lot of you guys out there said that it looks like a porcupine to you and all that kind of stuff. And I could see how you would do that. And this is the part that's always missing. Then show us how you know it isn't. Yeah. Now, he's doing it from a distance, but you can tell, like, again, scientific method is you have an idea you put on the topic.
Well,
so you formulate a narration to go with the idea. So when you put it on the topic and then you talk about the topic and share the narration, it's now dispensed out as it sounds like it's valid, but it's not valid. Do you know what a porcupine looks like? Do you know, you have an apple tree. I have thousands of apple trees around here. I know what apple trees, their sizes are like. Well, I know how animals behave. I know the difference between certain sounds that people could claim to be. Okay, this is a jab. I won't say that, but I know what a raccoon sounds like. I'll just say it like that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I know what a dog sounds like. I'll say it like that. Don't try to convince me that this is what the dysfunctional system, whoever is in charge of the dysfunctional family system, he makes you second guess your basic powers. What I'm seeing is what I'm seeing. What I know is what I know. I know this because, and I'll be able to explain it to you.
Right.
Well, he literally tried to address that by basically saying that Sasquatch is so smart that they can shape shift themselves into looking like a porcupine.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't
he
work
did
very.
address the porcupine thing in that way. And I'm
It's not
sorry.
addressing it. It's not addressing it. Addressing it is, hey, you guys. I
He
had a lot
did.
of comments from people. That's all he had to do. We wouldn't even have had this conversation. So what makes a person not do the obvious?
But that was his way of dealing with the porcupine thing.
It doesn't matter. I'm sorry, Christopher, but I've invested a lot in you. I've supported you. I've shared your videos. I've done a lot. A lot of us have. This is a great disappointment. This is what I wrote on his YouTube channel when I saw this. Is a great disappointment. You know better that you're better than this. Because I agree with Steve. He has potential to be better than this. But there's something, it's not fair what he's doing to the people who've been following all this time.
He's not
You
being
know,
fair
if
to
I'm
himself,
wrong,
really.
I will admit I'm wrong. And I will be wrong because I am a moron. I'm on the spectrum. I think backwards. People can never understand how I think. But after I talk to them, they enjoy how I talk or speak, at least. At least that guy got that for me. You don't have to sit there and criticize my grammar, my writing, and I know that. I've known that since I was in school, in grade 1. So you don't need to tell me something I don't know. I'm sorry you feel offended that I'm doing exactly what I tell people to do to me, and I'm telling people to do this to me because I have had it done already. You don't die from it. Release the hounds to help me know if I am seeing what I'm actually seeing. That's why we do that. Because we want everything built solid so we can move forward. Not flighty-dighty ideas up here that we put down onto the topic.
Quick question for the group here. The tall one's made a point. Did he also supposedly have a FLIR of the porcupine?
I think Brent was saying that. Brent was saying that he was supposed to go back and get it.
Yeah, him not showing the FLIR footage is suspect. Yeah, you know, it's almost like, you know, you make a mistake and now you got to save face, and I think that could be part of it too. You know, like, well, I can't go back now and say that. Like I said,
yeah.
I mean, like I said, given my past experience with him, you know, he believes it's okay to lie to forward a narrative. So has he realized, well, I was wrong, but I'm going to stick to my guns on this, and do it by deflection or do it by, I would hope not. I would hope that if he realized he made a mistake, that he would be honest enough to come out and say, hey, I made a mistake. But given the fact, you know, there's so many different variables, and the narrative is that, and we have to believe it, that he thinks that this is a Sasquatch, which definitely puts his judgment out in the field at risk, and that's a shame.
It also puts, if he did see it also puts in jeopardy, if say he did see a Sasquatch a few years ago, by doing what he's doing is discrediting it.
Right.
I mean, if you saw one all those years ago, you know what once, and you would, again, just by seeing one, like when I talked to Joe the other night, he was sharing his story, and that when you see one or you talk to Jay, you can see how Jay's really serious. You know, like, I'm tired of all this BS, and he uses a little more flowery metaphors, even though I do, than I would. But you can tell there's a solidness to the way he's talking. But that same solidness, you're not hearing in the same tonage in my regards to understand. When I'm listening to Christopher, I'm hearing him producing a narration.
Yeah.
Not an experientiation. Again, you run into a young Sasquatch, 4 feet to 6 feet at nighttime by yourself in the forest. Now, either he's gone into Sasquatches are my friends. They're friends.
And he's talking to them.
And he's talking to them. When
and
I'm thinking,
and they waved at him. He waved.
Right. And so I'm thinking to myself, let me get this straight. The parents aren't around, because if I was in the bush looking at a bear or a cub or a cougar cub, I would be thinking, hey, that looks like it's a 6-month-old cub. Where's the mom? Where's the parents?
Right.
So at what point, why not narrate that part, Pat? He's waving at him. At what point did he bond with it to the point when it would turn and
He
wave
said
at
that. It even looks like a little wave.
Oh, it looks like, yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and it
Again, it
showed
looks
that.
like a little
So,
wave.
yeah.
Yeah, that must have been when it's moving its arm up to make its next step up the so-called 8-inch wide at the
Yeah.
base of the apple tree, which gets lower or narrower when it goes into the
So
top.
let me
It's
let
just
me ask this,
ridiculous,
because
you
maybe
guys.
I haven't seen I've only seen the snippets of that. I haven't watched the documentary, truthfully.
I think the wave thing was
Still 7 more
the
videos
first
after.
or second
So-
rebuttal.
So what
yeah.
you're telling me is that he sees this in a tree and he's narrating, oh, it's waving, and there's no concern that there's an adult nearby.
No, zero.
That
So
being
from a site, Chris already knows where I'm going with this. Yeah. From a psychology standpoint, from a behavioral standpoint, I've said this before about having children looking at. There are certain reactions that you would have, and if I saw a juvenile, I wouldn't be worried about filming the juvenile. I'd be worried about, okay, where's the big one? There's got to be a big one around
Yeah.
Yeah,
here.
no. So in the
So what's
in
that
the-
telling you there?
so in the original, Steve,
Yep.
he has audio going while live while he's filming this porcupine in the apple tree, and the audio. He's talking to it. He's like, "Hey, little buddy."
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, like stuff like that. So he's communicating at that moment. He's communicating what he thinks is a Bigfoot.
Well,
And-
hold on.
yeah.
Is he communicating? Did he actually say, "Oh, look, there's a baby Bigfoot"? Did he say that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He did. Okay, he did.
Yeah, he is like full blown live, real
Okay, yeah.
time.
Because
Sorry,
truthfully,
Yeah.
if I saw a porcupine in a tree, I'd probably say, "Hey, little buddy, how you doing?" I'd be talking to the porcupine like that, because that's just me. But
Okay,
my
so
God.
my brain's just popping like popcorn right now. I'll tell you. Now he was suggesting in one of his videos that it was a Sasquatch that was morphing into a porcupine.
I mean, like pretending to be a porcupine is the way he kind of put it.
Okay,
so he didn't actually go woo,
Yeah,
but
think
he
about
skirted
okay.
the line. Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah,
So
he
the
said-
bottom
he
line is
said-
here you are, you're standing in front of an apple tree,
He said mimicking
right?
mimicking
Okay.
a porcupine.
Make your mind. Okay, so that's certainty. That's what that is. If it's mimicking it, that means he knows it's a Sasquatch, little Sasquatch.
Right.
So the other question I have in my head is the last thing, if you have any bush smarts and you come across an animal in the forest that's not the adult, but the child of it, no matter what age it is, if it becomes curious about you, you had better watch yourself, because you're going to think, oh, kumbaya, I'm connected to it, as it walks towards you. And then its mother or a significant other looks over and sees what's happening, and you're going to be in big trouble.
right.
So the idea of his bush skills, interpretation of the bush, the forest, and stuff like that, Christopher, I'm telling you right now, I was going to tell this to you a couple of years ago. I'll go toe-to-toe with you any day,
Well,
because you have no idea about what it means to be in the forest, nor do you have the rhythm of it, in my opinion, of knowing what it's like to be in the forest. And I think that's one of the reasons all this projection's happening in your thinking process.
And here's another one, Leon, from a. Let's just go to a biological perspective here. I am.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm thinking it won't matter. Steve, go ahead, say it. It ain't gonna matter.
Yes, I am, babe. Okay, so from a biological matter, one would think that, let's just say for a second, that a Sasquatch could mimic certain animals. Why in the hell would it mimic a porcupine?
And why
It's
then?
not like a porcupine is an apex predator.
Right.
They have certain insects which have camouflage on them, which they will mimic birds or they will mimic larger prey.
I don't want to
But
have
why would it
anything to
mimic
do with
a
a porcupine.
porcupine?
Well, yeah, don't want to have anything to do with the porcupine, right? Like hey, get away from me,
Well, the thinking process, again, look at the thinking process to come up with a porcupine in regards to seeing it. Remember, oh, hi there, little guy. There you are. Oh, it looks like it's waving at me. Okay, well, he's calm and relaxed state, according to his narration he's sharing. So the Sasquatch should be in a calm and relaxed state because it looks like it's waving at him. Now, it might not be waving at him or whatever like that, but I don't buy the narrative anyways. But the whole thing about it is, why is it all of a sudden having to act like a porcupine? That's the question. Why would it have to act like a porcupine?
When everybody was saying
Not
it
like
was
a
a
porcupine.
porcupine.
Is the fastest animal in the world.
Yeah.
Or the
Well,
most
And
rapid.
the other thing too is, again, it's an apple tree. I don't know if you guys know much about apple trees, but
No,
you
they
don't have to be
slim out
very-
real quick.
Yeah, and you don't have to be that, again, the base is 8 inches, he showed us, or above the base a little bit. It's about 8 inches wide, right? So the tree gets smaller as it goes up there, but it's 4 to 6.
Exponentially.
Yeah,
Exponentially.
depending on which video you watch, it grows, of course. And that's not the way an animal would collect food if it's not a threat. Well, if you're not a threat to it, it's just going to do it its normal way. Well, if it's 6 feet, it doesn't have to go crawl up real slow. Why would it crawl up really slow? I'm hungry. I'm going to go up there and eat something.
Right.
My cat hasn't eaten anything for 4 days. All of a sudden, she's eating, which now I can stop crying because I'm worried she's going to die.
I'm
Right?
glad.
I'm not BSing you about that.
We
But the
now
thing
have a new
is,
drinking game.
No,
You
I
have to
know.
take a
I
drink
know, Leon.
every
when you're
time the
driven
word-
by primal needs, it's not I'm going to go into slow. I'm going to practice being the stealth porcupine I can become. Oh, there I am. Look at me, because I have autism. I have a form of autism that makes me want to do this. This is not thinking clearly. It's certainly
of
not.
course. Of course
It's not.
not.
It's not
Yeah.
systematic thinking.
No.
We want to move it forward. This is again, every time, if I get a chance, whenever I'm doing brain games with people I'm teaching, I'm going to show this scenario, this whole thing. Remember, I sit outside of objectively looking at the Bigfoot online scene, so I can see where the ideas are coming from, why they're coming from it, why they're doing it. And I'm looking for certain markers to help the community move forward. And the idea that the crest is coming, whether you like it or not, people are going to get tired, just like we did with watching old shows. We don't watch them anymore. We might go back periodically, but we go back there, we recognize, man, that was so lame. That's what's going to happen here online. As time goes forward, people start more channels
this
than
is
they
a
are.
part
They're
of
sprouting
that,
out. We were
yeah.
talking about this the other day. 2 years ago, you'd be lucky to have 8 channels at one time talking exactly the same way because you would have been crucified back then. But the bottom line is it's changing because people are getting it. People are not intelligent. They've just been fed a narration for 10 years, brought into a culture that's been in that narration for 10 years and buying the parroting of what the narration happens to be. They find the videos that we already know from 10 years ago are just, unfortunately, a disappointment because we got sucked into, or hopefully we were hopefully sucked into them as well because we thought, now that's a great video. Went viral, found out later it's a wonky-tonky dude. Another one, wonky.
You did say parrot too, just a second.
Yeah.
Well, Leon, you make a good point too. One of the things that I was thinking about too is like when you've got the new people that are coming on the scene, and maybe some people from maybe born and raised in New York City or Montreal, and they've lived in the city all their lives, and they see this video online. And they hear this guy talking about it, and maybe they've never seen a porcupine in the wild ever, before. And, do you think that might be kind of misleading those people?
Well, wait a minute, Chris. First of all, people from New York City would not fall that this is a porcupine. I'm sorry, just would not happen.
Oh, come on.
You mean they would believe it's a Sasquatch?
They would not.
Well,
They'd be like, "Hey, that's a bunch of bullshit."
Somebody, you know what I mean? Somebody that's been raised in an area, a large city, that's never been out in the woods hunting or anything like that. They see this and they're like, "Wow, this guy filmed a Sasquatch."
Mike Waldney makes a good statement here. Says, if you have a virtual fan base versus wildlife's observationists, these outlandish claims get less challenged, which encourages the behavior. I agree.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, again, if Christopher would have graced us with his presence, that's another thing I would say. Did you take this to anybody who's trained in forestry and just show the video? Again, the message he sent me was, well, I hope Leon didn't prime them first by saying it was a porcupine. I don't have to prime them. The thing is, you take the video, take your narration off it. You have to do that, by the way. You guys, you should do this at home. Everyone take the video, find that section there where he's not mentioning anything about Sasquatches, and just show, I think it's in Steve's video here, show that video to anybody who's used to being in the forest fairly often. The first word out of their mouth is not going to be a Sasquatch. Well, of course, not into Sasquatch. The first word out of their mouth is going to be, I'm not sure what that is, but it looks like a porcupine. That's what I found.
I told you what he said to me, Leon. I told him the same basic thing in a comment. I said, Christopher, why don't you show this to a wildlife biologist?
Yes.
And we'll see what it really is and see if they say, hey, I don't know what this is. And his answer to me was, oh, do you really think a wildlife biologist would be open to Sasquatch?
Yeah.
And I said, and I replied,
that's arrogance.
I said,
that's arrogance.
It's not about being open to Sasquatch. It's about what is that in the film.
That's
arrogant. What it's about. It's not about the wildlife biologist having any belief in Sasquatch. I don't care. Take it to a wildlife biologist like, you can't take it. You can't take it to Dr. Bindernagel, but he was a wildlife biologist that thought Sasquatch existed. But if he was alive today, I bet you he'd look at that film and say it was a porcupine.
Oh, 100% he would.
Oh,
so
Thomas knows him. I've met him for sure.
He was not even willing to show it to any kind of wildlife biologist.
And that's
what it reminds,
arrogance. That's nothing but arrogance. Yeah.
It reminds me of this, and you might agree with this as well. I don't know if it's arrogance, but it's like when I used to deal with people who were psychics and stuff like that. And every time you pointed out something, they always had a phrase to counterbalance your argument, Well, the reason why I can't talk to your dad, uncle, or whatever like that is because you're resistant. They blame it on the other person, right? You're resistant, or you just don't have the faith. I'm sorry, but the energy here is just not feeling quite right for me. There's always, when a person starts, remember, your brain is a pretty bizarre little place, and it's got a lot of little different rooms and restaurants and hotels and pubs in it. So what it ends up doing is it starts formulating all the answers and looks at all the questions and comes up with what it thinks is rational answers for it. And that's what you usually were hearing out of these people's mouths, is this rationalization stuff. It feels good to them, and it sounds like it's okay to use, but it doesn't really hold much water if you poke it a bit more. The balloon is going to bust after a while.
So there is some very interesting conversation about going on here.
So all these people should be in the room right now.
Well, Tom Steenberg made a point. And it actually comes back to another psychology reason. We talked about him not worried about an adult being around since he's seeing a juvenile in a tree.
Yeah.
But Tom Steenberg made this comment. What I want to know is, did he really believe he was taping footage of Sasquatch, or did he know he wasn't trying to pass it off? But that little statement there kicked off something in my head. He left videotaping that to go get a FLIR. And then when he came back, it was gone. Why would you stop filming? Again, we see this in other videos of that ilk, that where it isn't really real, they know it's real, or it's, a misidentification or whatever, but they're going to film it like it is a Sasquatch, and they stop filming. And then they come back, and it's gone. This time with a FLIR, and of course, there's no FLIR footage.
Yeah, think about that right there. How many times have you tried to you see people getting videos on Sasquatches and that, and it's like 3 seconds or 4 seconds. Oh, there's one there. Oh, I'm actually here. It's over 3 seconds. It's over a minute. It's still there. I'm filming this thing. I better go to my truck and get the other one. Not a freaking chance, buddy.
Right.
I mean, you could say that, but that's bad research.
Like, I'm going to say, okay, I got enough. I'm going to go back. And, I don't know. He said 15, 30 seconds gone. I don't know if that's it, but tell me, you're going to walk back to your vehicle. Obviously, you either park very close to the Sasquatch to get back in 30 seconds. Then think about it. If you have a FLIR, what is it, sitting on the front seat, or is it packed up? Don't know. Right. But still, it's going to take you a few seconds to get that piece of equipment. And then it's going to take a few seconds for you to turn on that piece of equipment, because they just don't turn on with the push of a button. Yeah. Right, they got to warm up. They got to calibrate.
It would have been minutes. Right, he was camping. I believe he was camping. It would have taken minutes. And I mean, there's nothing better than what he showed. Obviously,
right. That in itself I'm going to stop filming to go get another piece to film with makes no sense to me in a psychological manner. It's like the guy who, has the video camera and like, oh, now my wife is scared after 8 minutes. Now I'm going to grab my gun.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense. You're filming it. Stay with it.
Right. Well, if that was an actual juvenile Sasquatch, I might have been tempted to leave because without knowing where mom and dad's at or brother and sis, of course, now that goes back to my personal opinions about, because I believe these things, they travel or stay in family groups. Like it's not just one individual. You'll have maybe, a mother and dad and maybe an infant or something. And I think there's more than if you see one, there's a very good opportunity that you're going to see 1, 2, or 3 more, or 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
And I would be tempted to leave if it really was a juvenile in the tree, not to get more equipment, but
that was never a part of the narration.
Yeah.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, and I want to keep hammering. Look, it's a perfect opportunity to show people what is wrong with the online scene. Remember, It's not bad people in the system; it's the system that's bad.
Yeah,
the way it's laid out, the way it's the way it evolved into is not healthy, and we're getting primed by narrations. And to the point here, this is a perfect example of that, and that's the key part. I would want everyone to understand is we're here to help the community. We're not here to help the community, but we have to get on the other side of the crest. First of all, we have to understand what it is we're taking over to the other side of the crest. And then again, it's not about being right. It's about being effective of translating that information to the next people that are coming, because they are coming. They're starting to pop up all over the place. The problem is some of them are gun shy a little bit. Like I've got one particular person, I won't say his name, but I definitely have it quoted 1,000% that's not a Sasquatch. He's stuck on the other side of, do I do a video for Leon or don't I do a video for Leon? Because this is really going to affect me. And I totally get it. You don't throw your pearls before swine, because the swine don't get it and they'll just try to devour you. So, it's my first time being on the front line with describing my neck. What's your neck for?
And
my neck's to be chopped off. That's what my neck's designed for.
Let me just put this out there to the group and people listening. This isn't just about this Noel situation.
That's right, 100%. This is not what this is about.
Right.
This is about the bigger picture.
This is about the bigger picture, because if anybody listened to last week's show, episode 77,
yes,
we talked about the fake media narrative and all this other stuff that the reason why we're losing the narrative. The reason why we're losing the narrative is because we let people with red circles and drawing the faces in on the pictures rule the roost. We have lost it because we allow people to continuously say they habituate things, yet have no evidence except, oh, look at these rocks. They left them behind. That's not evidence. You could have picked them out of your garden, or something else could. So we were, there was a big discussion about that last week between me and Chris. This is just actually a more of a continuation and a way forward. And the way forward is to that. And I'm going to ask this because we have just about 22 minutes left to show. So I want to ask Leon. I know. Look how fast the show is.
I know. Yeah.
I know. Really, it actually has.
I want to ask Leon if I am sitting here with a piece of evidence that is questionable, and I'm not sure what it is, and everybody's saying, or you don't think it's good enough, or it's not really good enough. It's a blob squatch per se. I got a picture of a blob squatch. Convince me that it's not evidence, or it's not a Bigfoot, or that it's not good enough to put out there. How would you go forward in talking to me off that ledge?
Well, I can't talk you off the ledge unless I find out first whether or not you have the capacity to want to look at it to find out what you're actually seeing. Do you want to know what you're seeing, or don't you want to know what you're seeing? If you
we're going to have to assume I am.
that you are willing to see what you're going to see?
Because I truly believe there is a bunch of people out there that just put it out there, but they could be talked off the ledge.
Well,
and there's a bunch of people that can't be talked off the ledge.
I don't know if, sorry, Steve.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's when you're saying the people, which people you're talking about. I look at the victims of this whole thing. And a lot of viewers probably don't think of themselves as the victims, but they're going to. When they find out what they've been told is
fraud.
Stay away from those type of words, because they're not going to help it. We're here to be effective. It's not just about knowing the truth. So when we're helping people understand that and educate people so that they understand for themselves why they're making their choices, instead of listening and bending the knee to a narration, when they get that power, that's the important part that we're trying to do here. So you can't talk anybody off the ledge. Steve reminded me of a great analogy, and it's like, it's not like, it is actually Mount Everest, when all the people go up there to get to the top of the tallest building, or top of the tallest mountain on the planet. If you, back in the 60s, you saw maybe a couple, 3, maybe 10 people a year up there. You go to a modern video online on YouTube, punch that in there, and watch the line from the base all the way up.
50.
And on the side of that trail are dead people.
Yep.
If they die up there, you stay up there. Now, I'm not saying, when I move forward through things with people, that I deal with a lot of people who end up dying. Unfortunately, I wish they didn't. I wish those things wouldn't happen. And life is this tragic, but it is this tragic. So I have a bit more serious bent, even though a lot of you guys see me with a lot of humor and upbeat. Well, because I have to, because I'm dealing with some pretty dark stuff sometimes.
Yeah, counterbalance. It's understandable. Yeah.
So the idea of, there's nothing I can do for people who think they should be going to Mount Everest but aren't equipped for it, to the point where they die and they want to stay there. They want to stay in the ideology of what that community is, society is, dysfunctional family is. I deal a lot with, when you deal with family systems, there's a lot of allegiance to the system over the individuals of the system. So you have a lot of people defending the sick person in the system, and we're not talking medically sick. Well, we are talking medically sick in some cases, but not meaning that if you're there for if they have cancer and stuff, they're not manipulating the system. The system is there for them because they love the person with cancer. But in other systems that have a person who's toxic, the allegiance, even though it's abusive and controlling and manipulative, there'll be still allegiances towards that toxic style of personality. You've heard it tons of times on the news about lady phones police, domestic disturbance. They go over, and then the police start roughing up the husband, say, or the wife in some cases. And the person who made the phone call was the spouse, and all of a sudden the spouse comes in and starts beating up on the police officer. And it's like, why would they do that? The guy just gave you a black eye and a broken nose and busted your arm. So when you're looking at systems, we're here to better the systems. Do we want to find a Sasquatch or don't we? Look, I have no time. Like I mentioned before, I know it sounds like I'm aggressive. I'm not aggressive, but I have no more time to waste. I have to go do what I have to go do. And if I have to, life moves forward, not backwards. Those who mourn well live well. I have to move to the next step for me, because if I don't, I can't pretend that what we're hearing online is helping us. How can I assist that? Well, let's try out another way of maybe doing a different style of channels so that people can get educated. But I certainly can't bring people from an alcoholic family system to an AA meeting. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when people in a system, it's like having a big cauldron in the middle of the living room, and everyone pours their ideas and all that kind of stuff, and everyone walks by and drinks out of that nice big cauldron. They intake those ideas and stuff. And somebody starts doing that, and they've been in there for a while, and they've got the sunk cost fallacy, meaning that they've met some really good people. I've met a lot of really good people. I still hang out with people I met the first year online. I was just talking one the other day. Every time I talk to Brent, because he came online exact same time, same groups, same organizations we connected up with. So, and we watched that process of how we grew through that to find the reality of what we've walked into, because that's what you want to know. Is the system helping us? 50 years, everybody, 50 years. Right now, if you're sitting at home, think of how many videos you would think we have that would be pretty solid videos of a Sasquatch.
54 years.
Yeah, 54 years. But think of that question, because I seen it and watched it on a live panel, and I think the most we came up with individuals would say 5, maybe 10, maybe 10. 50 years, 10 videos. Do the math. Look at how many videos of Sasquatch, supposed Sasquatch is online. Right, but supposed Sasquatch, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, probably up to the thousands, I would think, of people claiming it. So think about that. 5, maybe 10 out of 1,000, say. That's not a good percentage. That tells you there's something flawed about the system, not the people. The system's not working. It doesn't work. It doesn't work if you don't tell the truth and speak what you know and are educated so you know what you're talking about. We will be here 50 years from now, and some of us will, unfortunately, in this level, because some people want to stay back wandering amongst the dead. But the rest of us can't. We just can't. We have to make it to the summit. We have to find out what the truth of the fact is. And if it turns out that we are all totally wrong and duped or whatever, sorry, the evidence stands on its own. If that's what it shows, I'm totally wrong. I didn't see a young Sasquatch on the back of a moose when I was 9 years old. I'm totally wrong. The footprints that I've come across that I believe are truly Sasquatch footprints, I was totally wrong. The only little difference with me is I don't show anybody any of that stuff till I know I'm right. I have patience. And that's what's missing also. We have to have patience to understand, and it's going to take a while. No one likes to learn things, because when you think of a learning subconsciously, you think of school. I don't like school. I don't like math. I don't like it.
I love
whatever
school.
it is you don't like. That pattern is in your head. So people misinterpret when you're talking about education. Education is about fun, which you've heard me say hundreds of times. The number one force in nature is play. All animals use play to equip them for what they need, what they actually need in life to survive.
That's
but they
true.
do it in play.
Yeah.
So that is what's missing here. And that's what also tells you that the system is broken. When we all got online, it was play. We all were fair because we were playing. And when someone was playing unfairly, you say that. Think of it when you're a little kid. Playing soccer, playing a board game, someone was unfair, everyone could just call it, and everyone was okay with it. That's what's missing here. That's a big miss, I think, like to me. If I can't call out what you're suggesting to me, and I'm not calling out because I think you're wrong, I'm calling it out because I want to understand. That's the key part. It's not about being right. It's about it being effective. You need to be effective enough for me to understand how you could possibly buy into that is a porcupine or a Sasquatch. Those are the two sides. So when he's narrating what he's doing, I mean, like, I would love to talk to him, but I don't know if it would matter if I talked to him.
I think it would matter.
No, I don't think. No, I don't think it would, because I think the key part for listen to what I'm saying, Pat. Instead of pretending you are hearing what you think I'm about to say here, I don't think it would, because it doesn't help me do what I would like to do, which is educate people. But when he did his last video, I thought I couldn't have asked for the most brilliant video for him to do. Because I'm interested in an objective oversight to show people at home what I'm talking about, because I'm sure no one's quite getting what I'm saying, because how would you? To learn about objective thinking, because that's the number one thing missing in the online scene. Subjective is very valid. People are think they know what subjective is. You don't know what subjective is. I can guarantee you that. As soon as you are emotionally reacting to what I'm saying, even on an argument way, but in a way of trying to come at me, you're not objective. Objective, you're in a calm, relaxed state. I want to know what you're talking about. I want to hear what you're saying.
Actually, Uncle Bones, too. Uncle Bones 2 said, "You're the one talking about a false video 6 weeks in, Leon. Who is winning?" Truthfully, Leon was asked to come on the show, and the whole video thing came out because what basically happened tonight with Pat over at Squatch Talk being denied, trying to get Chris to come on and defend his video, and it wasn't happening. That's what spurred that.
Yeah, who
I think they're
again?
missing the point. The show is not necessarily about the video, but it's a good example. It's a recent, fresh example of that.
And who is this that said that? What was his name?
Uncle Bones 2.
Uncle Bones, imagine if all of a sudden you pointed out something on Christopher Noel's site that was obvious. You said it in 2 sentences, 2 sites. One site's a private site, only 300 members. And you said on the second site that has a bit more members on it, but you said, I think that's a porcupine. And then you also posted, and you've been following this guy for a long time, and you also posted on his YouTube channel, because all of a sudden you hit this reality where you're saying, there's no way this is correct. How could he not know this is correct? I'm not talking about this. I did 3 comments to him. Other people have done up videos just totally mocking the whole thing. Other people have done great videos just analyzing it. I think there was a guy over in Ireland who did up a bloody video saying, no, I just can't believe this is terrible Irish accent. Sorry, Irish people. But the bottom line is, don't make up a video attacking one individual, me. Now, there's a good question. Why, out of all the people who've commented about this, I mean, I left 3 comments on 2 of the sites we've been on since day 1. And Christopher was there since day 1. So it's nothing new. And the one site is we talk about stuff like this. So we're allowed to talk like that in that site. So I didn't do any flaw there. Am I aggressive on it? Yeah, because you're not telling a factual truth. And it makes me wonder, why can't you see what that is? Ask yourself a question. Do you believe it's a porcupine or don't you? Then ask the next question. What would make a person say that? And then ask yourself the next question. Why would you do a video on a guy who's a third-party guy involved in all this whole story?
Yeah.
I didn't come up with a Porky Gate.
Right.
Why would you do that? To hit Bigfoot Okanagan? Yeah. I don't know. You could ask him. I have a pretty good idea on what that's all about. But I'm not here for that anyways. The idea is that we're here.
No shit. Neither am I.
So the bottom line is, coming on and saying this, and I'm not sure if you started off with this when we first started, is go and check out Sean's Something to Squatch about our interview, because that's showing you exactly what's happening here in the community as a system. So you guys are in the system. I study systems, so you have to stay objectively out of the system. Up here, looking at all you guys talking, all you guys doing your stuff, whatever it is you're doing. What happens when something's thrown into the system that's contrary to the system? I get to watch it objectively up here. But when you start attacking me personally, and people would say again, well, you were attacking him personally. No, I was direct with him. And it was about the evidence. Yeah. That's what I was talking to him about. It's all about the evidence. He didn't come back to me that way. His last jab to me before he blocked and unfriended me was, this is frustration you're seeing. Is not contempt or cynicism or trying to get back at him. It's what it is. And if a watcher in the gate can't tell the community that there's danger here or that there's something wrong in the environment, there's nothing anyone can do.
Could Uncle Bones?
You're not the bad guy, man. Honestly, you're not the bad guy. That's the point.
No.
People think I'm saying that they're bad. You guys aren't the bad ones.
No.
I think we've been victimized too long online. It's a little bit of a strong word, I know, but the bottom line is the narrations have to flip. If they don't flip, we're not moving forward. That's what I care about.
I agree with that. 100%.
And to keep pretending that, we're hurting people's feelings, just ask yourself, is this helping me see what they're talking about? Or am I just drinking what they're saying to me? It's not helping me see what they're saying. I hear they're talking. It sounds very good. But is there anything in it? Any meat and potatoes? And I'll guarantee you, if you're sincere about your own positioning and objective about it and just reflect on it, you'll find out there's nothing really here. There's no narration that is not new. This is part of that new narration. It's coming. The scientific method's coming. Critical thinking's coming. And it's going to be a problem. And I don't want you to feel bad or anything. I'm not here attacking anybody. I'm just frustrated, you guys. I deal with intense stuff. I can't afford to be wonky about it after a while. It's too much drain on me. Somebody can claim there's a porcupine that's a Sasquatch. It's going to take me 10 times to 100 times more energy to convince people if I even tried to, and it wouldn't be worth it because they're probably not going to listen anyways, because the system has to change. The ability for people to hear things differently has to change. That's effective. It's not about just being right. How do we help the system become more effective? Because it's not effective. It's defective right now. The system, not the people.
We actually don't have to fight the porcupine thing much.
You don't have to fight it at all. All you have to do is let the community look at it.
It's just a whisper. Yeah. All you have to do is whisper. Just go, it's a porcupine. That's it.
He has no clothes on.
And then you know what happens? You whisper that into people's ears, and 80% of the people that see it go, "Oh yeah, I get that. I see it." It's not even priming. It's just hey, I think it's a porcupine. And now that's happened, and he is. I mean, the whole narrative's gone.
Well, that's the thing, Pat. You know, if I put out a video and you said, "Hey, Chris, that looks like a porcupine," and then my reaction is, "Pat, you're just being a bully." It is actually, you know, you're a bad person and you're a bully, and you know, let's not talk about my video. I'm going to talk about you being a bully. Okay, that doesn't scrutinize the evidence whatsoever. That's just a ad hominem attack on an individual that is just asking a question. You know, could this be a porcupine?
Or making a statement.
I want to give another great example, and that was Matt from Central Florida Bigfoot. When he sent out his stuff, which is, you know, we have this group behind the scenes that we kind of throw ideas and evidence back and forth to, so we can vet it to find out instead of just posting it. And then when he came back with that call, which you guys we've talked about this a while back, but it's still, to me, it's to such an honorable credit towards him, which is he contacted me, he said, "What do you think it is?" And I came back immediately saying, "Well, I think it's a bird. It's a bird," and that pissed him off. And it goes back to that posting I have on that Truth versus Truth video. The truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so I said to him, he come back to me, and I could tell he was pissed off in that, and I could tell he didn't quite see where I was coming from, and I understood why he thought I was being rather, you know, dicky, because I just said, "Well, it's a bird," you know, like I was brushing him off, but I wasn't. So we got in this conflict, civil discord on cam. And then eventually, and he was great with it. I could see it pissed him off, and I understand it pisses you off. It understands. I don't want to be wrong. It pisses me off when I'm wrong because I'm embarrassed. I feel stupid, you know. But to his credit, I said to him, "Well, go film it, just like Brent did. Don't look for Sasquatch under the ground, under the Sasquatch tree. Find out what's making the bloody noise." And once you change your perspective, then you get your vision back. When you get your vision back, you get your direction back, and then you snoop in the right areas instead of the narration you have in your head of hoping it to be something. And to Matt's credit to do that, come back, show us how he knows why it's that way. So he teaches us, because we could be as ignorant as anybody else can be. I can't speak for all you guys because you're pretty perfect. Sorry. Now I'm in big trouble. I got 5 people against me now. Oh, I'm in big trouble. But anyways, that's what we're looking for. I mean, Matt is brilliant, and his personality is great when he's narrating that kind of stuff. What's so hard about just saying, "I'm not too sure"? Well, that's the old way of thinking, the old culture. This new wave of thinking is coming in, and there's no way the old thinking can do it. Think of it if you watched a movie back in black and white and watch the ones you have today. Take a movie from today and take it back there in those days. Their eyes would bug out of their head.
Yes, but Uncle Bones number 2, that's not the point. You missed the point. The porcupine is the example. It's the thinking, the process of thinking that is so common. He's just the latest example. Do we want to go into, the drop names like, Igor Burtsev believing he got a phone call from Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Do you want to keep getting into all these other examples?
Yeah.
Well, and you have to. That's the bottom line is you have to, Steve. I mean, a Thinker Thunker got slammed the same time he got slammed. I thought, oh, this is interesting watching from an outside observer. The two icons are now all of a sudden getting under question. See, this is what you do. You question mom and dad. That's growing up. That means you're growing up.
That is.
And the system is growing up. It's saying, wait a second, that doesn't seem right. It's not like they're being disobedient or they're being disrespectful. It's not right. There's something wrong here. You're not seeing it.
Well,
go ahead.
I think part of it is this. At some point, everybody's saying, getting to the point, put up or shut up. I think that's the point people are getting to. It's the new it's that generation that came in after us. And then Chris and I came in at the same time. Then we have this new generation that was very adept at believing a lot of this garbage.
Right.
Now, all of a sudden, it's been 10 years, and it's time to say, hey, put up or shut up.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it is that time again.
What?
It's 11 o'clock, believe it or
Already?
not. Already.
Man, every time we get Leon on, man, it's like boom, time warp.
Yep.
Welcome to the show. Now it's time to go, Leon.
You guys are now the other. You're the other. You're part of the other clan. We should get T-shirts made up. I'm part of the other.
Oh,
Yay.
whatever. Steve has been doing his own thing. I mean, like
That's what I mean. We're all doing our own thing. That's what's important. Keep everyone doing their own thing, because that verifies what we're on to is something correct. Because all of us are coming to the same idea.
Yes, Steve will not waver from his path that he's been on, so he doesn't care.
I've been, let's say this. We've been doing this show, Chris, since 2006. Okay. And we have never really wavered from the things we've said.
Yeah.
Well,
you've been doing it since 06. I hopped on board 2010.
2010.
Yeah.
Still, long time.
But you've
That's
been
a
in
long
the distance
time, man.
Yeah.
You guys got me beat, dude. Yeah, I'm at 4 years, being on here talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'll say this, and I'll say this over and over again. People come, people go. The thinker thunkers, if they're, I don't really follow the guy. I've seen a couple of videos in the beginning that look pretty good, but I've also seen some videos in the past that are pretty bad. Not being critical of him at all, but I'm just saying there are certain people, not using him as an example. There are certain people that come into this, and as quick as they're here, they're gone. Sometimes you have people that get in this, and then they jump the shark in a real bad way, and then they're gone.
And can I add my 2 cents, Steve?
You can add 3 cents.
Well, I love everybody. I don't want to be mean to anybody. And let me tell you, I know honest misidentifications can happen, but there is nothing wrong with just being able to fathom, even know how sure you are in your mind. In the back of your mind, you could just fathom this one little thing is like, I could be wrong. I might be mistaken. And being able to admit that, that goes a whole long ways instead of a sunk cost fallacy. You can't, no matter what, that's it. I'm into my teeth. It doesn't hurt to say, hey, maybe I was wrong, or I'm wrong, or maybe,
or at least have an argument, a valid argument for your point of view, not deflect,
well, that goes with the
by saying people are bullies, by saying people are they're being mean to me. They said my Bigfoot's not a Bigfoot.
Okay,
that's the issue.
Yeah, that's a separate issue.
That's the issue.
Just like whether Leon is a bully or he's not a bully, that doesn't really matter. It has nothing to do with what we're looking at on screen,
Yeah.
But like I said, I love everybody, and everybody makes mistakes, But I tell you what, if you get on up to making a mistake, you're a big man. That's the thing. If you get on up to making a mistake, you're a big man.
Well, it builds a deeper relationship with your viewers as well, because they trust you.
Has to do.
I wanted to read. I just want to read something if I could. Is that okay?
Sure. We got a few more.
Okay, so this is on. I'm putting this. This is kind of after the slow can thing with the best Sasquatch trackways of 2020, and I made up that list of stuff. And I just want to read the list fairly quickly. So, formulate a healthy hypothesis. Always have a healthy dose of skepticism. Ask yourself this: am I missing something here? Third, remember, you can be sincere, but you also can be sincerely wrong. I have done that. I'm very sincere. Sincerity feels like I'm truthful. I might be truthful, but I can still be wrong if I get the correct information. Critical thinking, we are not trying to prove everything is a Sasquatch. And nor critical thinking is about criticizing. It's about critically analyzing something. So when somebody comes up that I've been following for 5 years and says, this is a Sasquatch, when it's a porcupine, yeah, I'm going to react to that. Understand, we are here. This is for the channels. We are here to educate, so know your facts. Always speak the truth for what you are claiming. The truth you declare is directly related to your character. People watch you because they trust what you're saying. I trust what you're saying. Confess when you update data and change your position. Educate by showing, not saying. We are trying to move this issue forward. Never hoax or falsify your claims. Never hoax or falsify your claims. Remember, it is okay to be wrong. Number 10, we are here to help inform the viewers. That's it right there. People want to figure out what's wrong with the community. Use that standard for yourself on your channel, and you'll be solid. Don't use that on your channel. There's something wrong.
I love it.
That's all I wanted to end that. Because I'm, like I said, I can't stay and pretend I'm back in the playground because I'm growing up. And a lot of people are growing up very quickly now, too, because they're around adults now. And they're getting a different way of thinking. And I know this can sound very offensive to some people when they're hearing me say this. Is that some kind of a personal attack on the viewer? If you're viewing me, I am not talking about you. I'm talking about updating and upgrading channels so that this priming of the narration we've heard for 10 years, that old culture can go where it's supposed to go and the new culture can come in, because it's going to happen and there's going to be conflict. It's just the way it is. So
yes,
those are my final words. Any final words? That's my final word.
I love it, Leon.
Yep,
very well said. I love your points, your talking points on that.
Yeah, some of those are Thomas Steenberg, by the way. He's a brilliant man. I don't know if I ever mentioned that before. I know not many people know that he's actually been in it for over 42 years.
Yeah. Good old Thomas.
And,
man.
you know,
Thomas is awesome.
If anybody's seen the 5 tenets of Bigfoot research that I carry on my website, some of those
Put that
things
up. Say those things. I know we're old. We can't never remember. Pull it up. I had to.
Well, I could tell you, but
he can pull it up.
But I'll pull it up so everybody can see. Let me just get that.
If you're not familiar with Leon's channel on YouTube, it's Bigfoot Okanagan. Give it a look. It's got a lot of interesting stuff on there.
Yeah, I'm starting a new channel called Truth versus Truth. It's not about Sasquatch. It's about how to define information when you're getting it to validate if it's true. So the positioning would be, I believe it's a Sasquatch. I believe it's a porcupine. How would you find out who was telling the truth?
Yeah.
In regards to the data.
Easy enough, right?
You would think.
You would think.
But it goes back to your character again. If people understand, like I know I eventually be coming under the microscope at one point. And it's okay. I'm not the academic. I'm trained academically, but that's why you use academics. You think backwards. You better figure out what's going on because you're going to average 42% in school. And then you go to college and start getting A's and you think there's something wrong or conspiracy. I didn't realize how I thought.
Yeah.
You know, so it messes with your brain and makes your life very difficult. So to have him even comment about that without, it's just, again, personal attack. It's got nothing to do with the evidence. It's a porcupine. And this will one day be end until somebody in 10 years posts it again and it'll come back through the cycle again. We'll have to rehash it. Go ahead, Steve.
So anyway, the 5 tenets are very, very simple. Keep an open mind, because by keeping an open mind, it allows you to see often that what others often miss. Remain objective. Keeping an open mind does not mean compromising reality. Always tell the truth. Honesty is the best policy. Never be afraid to report results that are negative towards your quest.
Right. Good
Responsibility to educate. Educating people about the phenomena is a responsibility and not an option.
Nice.
And exposing the charlatans. Part of educating is exposing the harbingers that bring junk science and misnomers to the world of Bigfoot research.
Yeah.
And that's part of this. And I think it was 2010 I had wrote this out. It's also part of Squatch-D University, which has a bunch of other things on there. Talk about some history, investigation. So it's a resource that people can go to.
Good research.
I also we also keep we talk about track casting. We also have
the
audio page.
Files. Yeah,
we have an audio page, which we have all kinds of different animals. If you don't know what they sound like, and we even have some potential alleged Sasquatch audio there.
That's great. That's great, Steve. That's great. thorough,
something
man.
out in the woods and you're not sure what it is, go on Steve's page and click through all those audio.
We talk
files.
about track casting.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we talk about track casting and all the fun stuff, and a little bit. We always throw in a little education, some foot anatomy of, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So, so if anybody wants a resource, they can, hit those up anytime they want. So
that's great, dude.
So, anyhow, again, I want to thank the panel for coming on tonight. We ended up having a panel, but we actually sat and listened very intently to Leon, and thank you as always, Leon, for coming on.
Welcome.
And
I hope we move it forward, you guys. I'm sorry. There's going to be clash. It's got to happen.
Yep.
You can't keep pretending. You can't have two spears facing each other with eventually one of them poking you. Yep. So it has to be poked. It has to be fought through, and that's part of the process. So,
I got a spear in my hand.
Well, we're not trying to kill anybody. Actually,
Well, you said poked.
We tend to frown upon that, Pat.
Yeah,
well,
they're saying
Leon
poke, and it doesn't mean you're doing the poking.
We want to file those points down.
All right, never
mind.
mind.
We don't want to hurt anybody, but people will be hurt because they want to know the truth and the truth.
Joe, Joe, again, thanks for popping in and putting in your 2 cents worth.
You're awesome, Joe.
Does anybody want to know my final words?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, well, it's just this. Don't sweat the petty stuff and don't pet the sweaty stuff.
Exactly.
Especially if
and listen, Leon has a great channel. Visit Pat over there at Squatch Talk. Visit Joe's channel over at Western New York Bigfoot Investigation.
Yeah.
He's got a ton of shows. He podcasts, several times a week. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how you do it, Joe. That's just I couldn't blab that much in a week, believe it or not.
Well, my daddy used to say I talk a lot.
Yeah. And it was a pleasure meeting your other half the other night. That was a lot of fun. And I can't wait until we get her out in the field as well. So, but Chris, last final words.
Thanks again, Leon, Pat, and Joe. Appreciate having you on. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for the platform.
Everybody on YouTube and everybody in the chat, we appreciate having y'all.
Great chat.
Greatest people in chat of any show right here. I mean, we got the best. We're so lucky. If it's the first time watching on YouTube, consider giving us a like, subscribe, share. Sharing is caring. All right, Steve.
That's right. Sharing is caring. So, again, I want to thank Leon, Pat, and Joe for coming on tonight. Always, I want to thank Chris and all our folks over there in the chat and interacting with us. We appreciate you. We love you guys. We have the world's smartest audience and greatest audience, and we thank you for being here tonight. For those folks out there on in the Anchor FM, Audible, Amazon, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, we want to make sure that you have a great time as well. If you want to catch any of the videos we showed, you can go over to squatchdtv.com. It goes directly to the YouTube page. That's squatchdtv, all one word, .com, straight to the page, and you can see some of the videos and see some of our mugs, which I don't know if you might want to prefer just keeping to the podcast. Anyhow, folks, I want to wish everybody a great, happy, safe week. God bless. And, of course, most of all, keep on squatching. We'll see you next Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the YouTube channel at squatchdtv.com. We'll catch you all later.
Hey, folks, you've been watching Squatch-D TV. Join us each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, for the latest on the Bigfoot mystery. As always, we thank you for being our loyal viewers and encourage all to subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Steve Kulls. As always, have a great week. Stay safe. God bless. And keep on squatching.